Greetings from a very frigid uptown Charlotte. The clearest sign that I've become something of a local or at least a regular is that I've gotten in the habit of calling it uptown instead of downtown. That's the thing, apparently. But just figured I would update you guys on some trial thoughts. Also, it's so cold. It's like 32, 31 degrees that walking and talking is good for my warmth. I'm trying to get run over here. Car rolling into a hotel. People keep asking me, who do you think is winning? I don't think that's a fair way of looking at this, and I think this is problematic of our culture and in general, right? We treat politics this way. We treat trials this way. Hold, please. I digress. We treat the trial like we treat our politics, and I think we treat both of them wrong. That it's not a sporting contest, right? Like, the best way for me to answer that question, while also acknowledging that I'm not a lawyer, and so I can't even tell you legally, what the score is. Not that it matters, the jury can't either, and the jury's being asked to decide something, and they're not legal scholars anyway. But I keep telling people that the analogy I use is this is not a basketball game, in the sense that it's not like both sides are getting the ball and trying to put points on the board, shooting twos, shooting threes. At best, what's happening last week and the first couple of days of this week is that 2311 in front row, Jeffrey Kessler and company, they get a chance to put points on the board. But the way the legal process works is it's not for NASCAR to then get the ball and try to score. They try to take points off the board. If we have to use a sporting analogy, which I think so many of you want to do, that's what happens, right? So Kessler and company present their case, and if you followed every single day, it's very clear the narratives that they're building. And under cross-examination, Chris Yates and Larry Buterman and that whole group, they're trying to rebut the arguments that are being made by Kessler, 2311 in front row. And so they're not trying to score points themselves. That comes at some point starting tomorrow. And however long this goes, it'll be, the NASCAR side's opportunity to make their legal argument. And it'll then be on 2311 in front row to rebut that under their cross-examination. So if you have to put points on the board, you don't calculate that until after the trial is over. And certainly Judge Bell has been arguing that or just encouraging is the better word, the jury to remember that don't make your mind up until you've heard all the evidence. And Chris Yates has said repeatedly, just remember, you're hearing just one side of the argument. And so what I would tell you is that obviously the 2311 in front row case, how do I want to phrase this? 'Cause I want to be fair. There's two ways that I look at this case, right? I mean, there's the things that matter from an industry standpoint, from a NASCAR racing fan, racing enthusiast standpoint, like I'll give you an example. Hold on. I was walking with my book bag on one shoulder. Switch up. There are things that matter from a racing enthusiast standpoint that have no legal basis for consideration whatsoever. All that matters is that this court, actually the court that's right there in front of me now, right there, that court, the Western District of North Carolina, has found that NASCAR is indeed a monopsony, which is a buyer's monopoly, meaning they are the only buyer of a service in the market. And the market is, here in my car, it's got some ice starting to form on it too. It's cold. A monopsony is the only buyer in a market. And for the case of this conversation, the market is premier stock car teams. So the court has decided, unlike my car, that NASCAR is a monopsony, right? And so that's without question. I keep seeing tweets sometimes, Facebook comments. It's like, see, NASCAR is a monopoly. Well, yeah, we know that, but that's not illegal. That's not the matter at hand here. So the matter at hand, and what the judge has encouraged this jury to consider, is, did NASCAR use their monopsony power in the market to harm competition? Because that is what the entire premise of the Sherman Antitrust Act is designed to do, is to encourage competition. And so if a monopsony is using their monopoly power to hurt competition, that's bad. And the other thing is do they use their monopsony power to harm those who are in the market, right? So that would be the teams, those who are being bought in the market. So that's the way I encourage everyone to look at this case. Whether it's the sensational stuff about teams' finances, or Richard Childress text messages, or what have you, right? Like, try to ask yourself, is this just interesting to me? Because there's a lot of things here that are interesting to me. But you then have to run it through the filter of, is it relevant to determining if NASCAR is a monopsony that harmed competition or those in the marketplace? I'm walking by the court. I'll show you guys the court here in a second. It's a nice courtroom. It apparently was updated a couple of years ago, I think. I looked at the renderings, but there's no way to determine who's winning. There's not a scorecard, right? So turn around here because I don't want to walk. There's a lady walking her dog, and I don't want to be a creep or a weirdo. But as I'm just shooting this video, but those are the conversations I want all of you to have. And the other thing too, obviously, is that lost my train of thought. The jury. I was going to talk about the jury. We can talk about our opinions and our legal acumen. This thing is being decided by literally, 6 plus 3 backups of everyday people people who are not super NASCAR enthusiasts, people who are not legal analysts. And so sometimes both sides do things to try to play to that crowd, right? I mean, to either make someone look unreliable, to catch them in a lie. And so it's not even about the merits of the case, which, by the way, is why I think this thing is going to go to, regardless of who wins and loses, it's going to go to the appeals court, the Fourth Circuit of Appeals in Richmond, Virginia, where the injunction was heard and decided about the charters earlier this year. That's the second step, the appeals court. And that could add another year to whatever the outcome is, whatever the jury decides. And from there, if the Fourth Circuit rules and the losing party doesn't like that outcome, it could be petitioned to the Supreme Court. Now, the Supreme Court does not hear every single case that they're petitioned for. It's a very small percentage. But what could make this thing really crazy is I'm kind of an amateur legal person. Like, I really love, the politics meets the law space. And so I understand the process a little bit. But what could happen, let's just say for a second that SCOTUS is even remotely interested in hearing this case. They could determine that what has been decided so far is too broad, and they'll send it back to this court, district court, to narrow the scope of what needs to be decided before it could then go back to the Fourth Circuit, go back to SCOTUS. And what I'm trying to tell you is this could be the first year that we've been through this, 15 months now, of a multi-year process. And so I think when I wrote my trial preview 2 weeks ago, before this started, right before Thanksgiving, I said this is not the beginning of the end. This is the end of the beginning, potentially. I think there's a long way to go on this, and we're just starting to scrape the surface. A lot of people keep asking me, what do I think? There's one guy, Dave. Dave, I'm talking to you. I appreciate your support. You're a fan of mine, but I also see that you're criticizing those of us in the media for not having opinions, or we're all reporting the same things. This is real life, man. Like, listen, when we cover racing, which is a entertainment product for the most part, it's cool for me to share what I think about the playoff format or race format or competition package. In the grand scheme of things, this doesn't matter, right? As race cars going in circles, what's happening in here? This is the real and it's not my money. It's never going to be my money. It doesn't behoove me to, pick a side to root for one side or the other. Candidly, I think there's merits for both, right? Like, I think anything that turns into a legal dispute, if you're intellectually honest, and you look at things objectively, you can see arguments for both sides. Objectively, and maybe a little subjectively as a race fan, I want teams to be healthier. I think having an entity like NASCAR that oversees competition, a separation between the sanctioning body and the competitors, that's generally healthy. I don't like the idea of the France family owning teams. I know we see that in IndyCar, and that's been something that's been argued here too. And we saw how bad that could be in IndyCar this past season with some of the controversies going on at Team Penske. So I have opinions, right? Like, I'm not Switzerland. I just want to be very careful that when sharing my opinions, I don't make an ass of myself in the process and just say things that are uncoupled from reality. The one opinion that I have that's the strongest, in my opinion, is that it's just disappointing. So, like, this is my strongest opinion on the matter. TV ratings are down. They're down in part because we're not as healthy as we used to be, but it's also down because NASCAR, and they told the teams this in advance, made a strategic decision to try to jump on streaming early enough while the money was there, while there was growth opportunities, but it meant that overall audience would go down 14-15%. Regardless of why, our audience is down. I say "our" because we're all in this boat together, right? Like I don't get paid to write about motorsports unless the ecosystem is healthy. So like I will say we, because I am in this ship, and so are you. We all are. When we talk about stakeholders, the industry, that's all of us, right? So we all have equal stake in this in some capacity. So my strongest opinion about this trial is that I'm just disappointed that it's gotten to this part, even though I recognize why and I respect and I understand why. But the part that disappoints me the most is that at a time to where we need to, as an industry, be growing the audience, trying to find the lapsed fan and to bring them back, try to find new fans and bring them here. By the way, that's important. I know some of you hardcore fans feel like, you've been chased away in the pursuit of the new fan. Both matter, man. I mean, both matter a lot. But none of that matters right now because we're not doing that. We're not trying to chase the lapsed fan. We're not trying to chase the new fan, because what's happening here is that the sanctioning body is telling two teams that they suck, and two teams are telling the sanctioning body that they suck. All this year, fans have been saying the sanctioning body sucks. And, there's people in the sanctioning body that are frustrated with fans, frustrated with media. There's media who's frustrated with fans. And I say all of this because we are all telling each other and the world how much we suck. And that part's frustrating, man. And so I really just hope you asked me for my opinion, right? Dave, you asked me for my opinion. I keep hoping this thing finds a settlement that is amenable to all parties, because right now I do like vroom vroom, but not right now. I'm trying to have a conversation. I hope there's an amenable solution here, because more than anything, this industry just needs to start putting together holistic conversations with everyone involved about how we're going to grow this sport, right? How to make this car shut up. This is my Robin Miller moment where it's like, shut the up. I'm trying to shoot a video. Robin Miller's my hero, so I've always wanted to do that. I'm not going to cuss here because I don't want to be memed yet. There's enough things to meme me over. I just hope that this doesn't take 3, 4, 5 years, go the SCOTUS route, because right now, NASCAR, like all facets of the motorsport industry, short track racing, dirt racing, straight line racing, all of it, motorsport is not as popular on the whole as it was 15, 20, 25 years ago. That's just a objective fact. And I hope that whatever happens by the end here in this court, whatever court, across the board, leaves this industry in a place to where it starts to be able to pick up the pieces and get healthier. That is my opinion. And hopefully no one gets mad at that, because I don't think it's not quite Switzerland, but it's pretty close. But it's really how I feel. And so I'm going to keep covering this. And yes, we're all going to have the same quotes and the same material, because we're all stuck in the same courtroom, listening to the same testimony. This isn't like the garage where you can walk in there and get whoever you want. The testimony is what the testimony is. And so it's an interesting story. I'll close with this, man. I mean, it's been interesting. People keep saying, is it fun? It's not fun, because you're seeing the sport being torn apart by everyone involved in it. That part's not fun. But I'm watching this part of the industry that I've spent my entire adult life trying to be a part of, its pieces deconstructed and laid bare. And that's really fascinating, to see the charter agreement, to see the sanctioning agreements, to see private communications, to see how everyone really feels and how everything really works. The watch has been deconstructed, and you see all of its pieces and how it works. And that part's been fascinating. And hopefully it ends on Friday, because I'm fascinated out. I'm ready for Christmas. I went to the Derby. I'm sleepy from that. I don't know if you can see I got the dark circle thing going on. It's not as bad as I thought it would look, but I'm tired, y'all. And so that's what I think about the 2311 and Front Row Motorsports versus NASCAR antitrust trial. Let me know what you guys think, and maybe we'll keep doing some more of these throughout the week. And just in general, people seem to like me yakking in front of a phone, and so if you guys like it, I'll keep doing it. I'm no Kenny Wallace. I don't have the Sunoco mug. I'm open to it if someone wants to sponsor a mug. I'm a coffee drinker. I just got kicked out of Starbucks, so I don't have the mug on me, but I like talking racing with y'all, and I like talking NASCAR with y'all. So we'll do it again in the morning. Talk to y'all later.